All right, so for this assignment, you guys had very specific guidelines on what you needed to do, and it's to fit into one of these subgenres that were talked about in the module reading. And those included bands, and that could be like a live concert, or that could be photographing a band as they're posing to sell the idea of their band. A sports picture, class pictures, senior pictures, like seniors in high schools, baby portraits or boudoir. And we have, let's see, 5 images that fit into a specific category. So that's great to see. But then there's 3 extra images here. We have Siyue's image, we have Allison's image, and Nick's image that I'm not sure what category they're fitting into. And the reason we have this module, and part of the reason we have this class as a whole, is really to push this idea of how to make money with your photographs. We really want you to graduate and you can have all of your dreams for what you want to do, but we want you to have a very practical fallback with the people photography, because when something dries up with whatever type of photography you're going after, you just have a little dry spell in that. We want you to be able to fall back on portraiture because it's always there. People are always looking for it, and it's a great way to make money. Consistent money, like it's a very reliable way to make money. So that's why we have you take this class, really. That's why we have you have this specific module where you're looking at these narrower categories of ways that you can have a profitable studio. So I need either the 3 of you, Siyue, Allison, and Nick, to reshoot your images or to let me know how this fits into the genre so I can give you proper feedback on it. I'm going to go ahead and get started here with Angie's image, and we have the first 2 images is all I'll look at. These are both band images. So for Angie's image, we have her son and her son's friends. It sounds like they've been friends for years, and they're probably playing a lot of music together because it seems like that's something your kids are really into. For all of these images, I'm going to fall back on some technical things to start off with. And so here you're at ISO 400 at 18 millimeters. And 18 millimeters is a really wide angle lens. And let's see if I still have this open. Yeah, I want you guys, and I'll post this with your critique, to really look at the difference between how you can get some distortion, even if you're further away with wider angle lenses, and then how it's more pleasing to have these longer lenses. So if you're shooting in studio and you have limited space and you have to get both of these guys in the image, maybe that's your only choice, is to use 18 millimeters. Or sometimes you want to push that distortion and it can be really pleasing to use an 18 millimeter lens. But here it looked like it was more of a use of convenience. And for this image, if you had the space, I would encourage you to scoot back and shoot with a little bit of a longer lens. 4.5, 1/50th of a second, that all looks good. The light that you're using pretty evenly lights both of these subjects. I'm really impressed by that. And especially when you're dealing with people that have different skin tones. So his skin tone is much lighter and his is much darker. To have them both evenly lit is a challenge, and I think you handled that pretty well here. Even, yeah, you have a few little areas that are getting blown out on the friend's shirt here, but overall you're able to hold on to everything pretty nicely. The narrative of them being buddies and like having their back towards each other, I think comes through very clearly here. The idea that they're in a band where we have the guitar and the drumsticks, that comes through also. I think this could even work as like a senior portrait, because in those senior portraits, we always want to hold on to something of personality with the subjects. So if that were the case, if these guys were graduating high school, it would make sense that this could be an image that holds on to like what kind of defined them in high school. You're pretty tight on your crop here. I'd give more space above, especially your son's head. This is really tight on the top and on the side, and it feels a little unbalanced, right? It feels like he has less space, and because the guitar is going this way, and of course you wanted to include the full guitar, it just doesn't feel like there's a really great balance to this image. And then the other thing is I would pull out that seamless a little bit further. So you can see that you brought it down and then pulled it out. So it's probably close to a 90-degree angle right here, where we want this to be a nice swooping angle. We don't want there to be a sharp angle at the bottom, and that will make it appear more like this and less like this. Nice job. I think your family is such good sports with you. And I think this is a nice portrait of both of these guys that they can use moving forward. And then this image is by Linda, I believe. Yeah. You're at ISO 1600, and you said that you were aware that you had to pump up your ISO, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't work. Let's just look at it a little bit closer. And I just don't want to see digital noise on their faces. That's what I'm most concerned about. And we see it down in this area, but it actually isn't too bad. Some cameras just handle it better than others. And this situation, you seem to be able to handle it okay. Remember also that when you have that higher ISO, it's not just the digital noise. That's what I tend to get stuck on because it's so obvious, but it also reduces your dynamic range. So the amount of tonal quality that you have from highlight to shadow is reduced. You don't have the subtleties that you probably want in the image when you shoot with a higher ISO. 56 millimeters f7.1, they're both in nice sharp focus. 1/30th of a second, so you are really pushing that. You're in just a tough spot with shooting this without a lot of light when you have both of them separated a bit, so you need more depth of field. You already have your ISO pretty high, so that 1/30th of a second, you're just hoping that everyone's staying still for you, right? The light that you're using is illuminating both of your subjects pretty well. I'm assuming you're using artificial lighting, probably hot lights in this position, because strobe, I don't think you'd have to bring up your ISO that much. And the lighting is kind of informational lighting. It's not creating a mood necessarily. It's just allowing us to see the subjects. I think you could push the lighting and make it more moody and make this more dramatic. And even the fact that I think you said you shot this late at night, and if we look here, it shot, oh, maybe it was shot in the morning. Oh no, it was shot at night, at 11 o'clock at night. So even if you're shooting it late at night, you could embrace that and have that moody lighting, like practicing band, right? Your band practice way late at night, and kind of the mood of that, I think, could be pushed in this. I think we've talked about that before. Like when you're in these hard lighting situations, we try to fully illuminate our subjects, but sometimes the lighting that's missing can really create a narrative. And then the idea that they're in a band together, your son like leaning up against the wall with his microphone, and your boyfriend, I think you said, with his hands like very dramatically playing. It seems a little staged to me, but I also think it's a fun portrait, and having them both in the same portrait interacting with one another, I think works well.